Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to talk to you about the Android operating system that I supply on the Odroid N2 devices as part of my JagDroid update. Now the Android operating system itself is stored on a small memory card, which you can just see through the case here. It's called an EMMC, which is equivalent to a solid state hard drive for all intents and purposes. So the Android operating system is installed on that memory card along with any apps or files that you download. Now you can add additional storage using a micro SD card if you want to move apps onto that, but I'll explain about the process for that in a future video. Now from time to time there are updates become available for the operating system that's installed on here, and you can update those over Wi-Fi using the Odroid settings app, and it will download the latest update, apply it to your installation and bring it up to the latest version. But from time to time there can be instances where you've got a problem with your Odroid, you're not sure whether it's a hardware or software issue. You want to completely wipe the memory card and start again with a factory image. So in this video I'm going to be explaining to you how you can do that. Now there's at least two methods to reflash the image to the EMMC card in your Odroid. The first method involves actually removing the case, taking the EMMC card out, and then you need to get hold of one of these, which is a micro SD to EMMC adapter, and you use that with the micro SD to USB adapter. Connect the two things together, put the EMMC card on the adapter here, plug it into your computer, and using a piece of software you can push the image through to that memory card and then reinstall that to your Odroid and boot it back up again. But there is another way to do that, which means that you don't then need those adapters. We can actually configure the Odroid to act as a memory card itself, so like a USB stick for example, with just the aid of a USB cable. So a micro USB to normal USB. There's a micro USB port on the back of the Odroid which will connect like so. USB will go into your computer, and then what we have to do is connect a USB keyboard to the Odroid, put it in a special mode which will make this act as a USB storage device, so the computer will see it as any USB stick and you can push the image directly to that. So the way to do that is there's a small switch on the back of the unit which controls the boot method. Now normally, normal operation, the switch would be to the right, which is closest to the EMMC, which tells the unit to boot directly from the EMMC, so it goes straight into Android. But if you put the switch to the left-hand side, this puts it in a special mode which allows us to send some configuration commands to the unit to reconfigure how it will operate when it's connected via the USB. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. Now you will need a USB keyboard for this. I use a wireless USB keyboard which has a small USB receiver, but any wired or wireless USB keyboard will do. I need to plug in my USB receiver to the Odroid, and my Odroid here is connected to the power in my test head unit and the HDMI. Now I've got the boot switch switched to the left hand side, which is the special configuration mode I was talking about before. So if I power up the system here, so this is essentially connecting the battery from a cold boot, so it'll go into Jaguar mode first of all. If I then press nav, you'll see you get a little text menu come up on the screen, so it doesn't boot into the Android mode. Let me just zoom in on the screen and I'll show you, because the text is very small. Now I hope you can see this, the text is very small, so you do have to look very closely. But if you can see, using the arrow keys you can actually navigate up and down this menu, but the default option at the bottom is exit to shell. So that's what we need to select. So if you just press your enter key on your keyboard, it'll jump out to a command window. I'll just zoom in a little bit closer because that's at the bottom of the screen. Now hopefully you can see that text. I know it is very small. But we just need to type one command here to switch the Odroid into USB storage mode so that it can be recognised by the computer. So what you need to do on your USB keyboard connected to the Odroid is type in UMS space /DEV/MMC BLK0 and then press enter. Don't worry about the error message that comes up on the screen. As long as you've typed the command in correctly, then it will have worked. The next part of the process is to get your USB cable, plug the micro USB end into the Odroid. Then obviously normally you'd be using a laptop in your car so you can power up the screen and everything from the car, and you plug the USB into that. But I've just got a desktop machine on my test bench here, so I'm just going to plug that in here. don't know whether you can hear that noise, but the computer's recognised that a USB device has been connected. So as far as the computer's concerned, it's just had a bog standard USB stick attached. We can now use a piece of software to push an image through to that memory card. So we've moved over to my computer, and I'll show you the software that you need to make this work. So the first thing to do is download a copy of Etcher. It used to be called Etcher, now it's called Balena Etcher. So the website you can see here is balena.io/Etcher. This is a tool that will take the image file, which we'll download in a moment, and it'll push that to a USB device, so in this case the Odroid. So if you download and install it, you'll end up with this user interface. So there's a few options here. One we're interested in is flashing from file, so we need to download the image file to start with. So the next process is if you go to the JagDroid website, and then you need to find the Odroid OS image flashing page, which is quite self-explanatory. Now there's a load of instructions on here, which is essentially the same as the video, so it's what I'm telling you now. If you don't really want to watch the video, you can just read the text instructions, but it's probably a bit late for that now since you actually are watching the video. Anyway, you need to choose the appropriate image based on the size of your EMMC card. So there's a couple of versions here, one for 16 gig image, one for 64 gig, and this is the edition from November 2020. So at the time of making this video, this is the latest version, but I will be updating this as time goes on, as there's new versions that I start deploying onto the Odroid units. I'll put those new versions on here. Now we've got a 16 gig card in this device, so we're going to download the 16 gig image. So if you click on there, it will take you through to a Google Drive share. It says it couldn't preview the file, but that's fine. We just want to download it. It's too big to scan for viruses. Now, I should say they are very large files, so you need to make sure you've got a decent internet connection. Now they are compressed, so they're not the full 16 gig size. This is only, I say only, this is 2.3 gigs, so it's still a sizable file. But the actual image size, once it's uncompressed, is 16 gig. But the Balena Etcher program will take care of that for you. So we just need to download this 2.3 gig file. So if you download anyway, that'll download it to your browser. Now once that's done, you can go back into Etcher and you can choose the flash from file option. So if you go into your downloads folder, this is the file that we've just downloaded. So you can see it's JagDroid N2, the official ROM from November 20, and it's a 16 gig image. What you need to next do is do select target. Now what you'll see here, it's called a compute module here in Balena Etcher, but it's actually drive letter E on the system, 15.6 gig, so it's not always precisely the size that you think it might be. There's a little bit of space that gets lost in sort of formatting process, but this is the 16 gig removable device, which is the Odroid. So if you select that and select, so now we've set it up, we've selected our file, we've selected the Odroid, and we just now simply need to press flash. You need to get permission to do that. Now it will take a few minutes to do the flashing process, and you'll see a progress bar where it'll go from 0 to 100%. It does spend quite a long time around the high 90% mark, so don't worry too much about that. I think that that's probably part of the way that it decompresses this 16 gig image. As it gets to the end of the card, it'll start decompressing, and there's lots of blank space because not all of the 16 gig is full of files. But anyway, you just need to give it a few minutes to run through. So you can see now it started, so it's going to estimate to take 11 minutes. I'm sure we can speed this up. So now it's finished flashing to the Odroid. So it did take quite some considerable time. It's probably about 25 minutes altogether. So it probably is a good idea to put your car on a trickle charger if you've got one while you carry out this process, because you wouldn't want the system to lose power while it's doing the flash, because you'd have to start the process all over again. So once it's finished and you get the message from Etcher that it's done, unplug the USB cable from your laptop, put the boot switch back to the right hand position, and then if you unplug and replug the power connector into the Odroid, it'll reboot. So if you just watch the screen now, so you get the JagDroid boot splash image, so it looks like it's booting up successfully. I'll just go through the Android boot process now, which will take a few seconds to start up. Takes probably about 20 seconds from a power on for the Odroid to boot into the operating system. So you can see there we are with the standard launcher as it would come when I originally send it out. So you've got Google Play installed already. You just need to reconnect back to your Wi-Fi, go into Google Play, put your login details in and reinstall all your apps. So that's it. Hope it was useful. Thanks for watching.